This is Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. And at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Shalom, shalom. Before I begin this lesson, all praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak, Wadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles, bishop, and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings be multiplied on all you brethren teaching this word in our sincerity and in truth. Shalom to the elect, 144,000, and the rest of the elect out there, shalom. I'm the brother Dama Akbar here with another lesson, Lord willing to edify through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Yahweh Shai. All right, and this is going to be a quick lesson because the time of Second Ezra, the 6th chapter, is vastly approaching. And you know, I'm going to play a video, and I got another precept I'm going to drop, but just listen carefully to what they're saying is happening in Australia. And remember, it's going to take a little while before what's happening in Australia eventually comes here to America. You see, and this whole situation with Trump and this Iran and all of these Gulf states and these oil refineries being bombed and blown to smithereens is about to have a drastic effect on supply chains. You know, it's going to have a problem with, you know, things getting more expensive, food not being on the shelf. And remember, a lot of the majority of these countries run off gas, oil, petroleum, and that oil. You see, and with the Strait of Hormuz being closed, with these strategic and very important oil refineries being bombed and blown to smithereens, it's getting ready to put a hell of a damper on things all around the world. Now, of course, in places like Europe, you know, Australia, a lot of those NATO and EU countries that rely heavily on that Strait of Hormuz to get their production of oil and petroleum and things of that nature, you know, they're going to be hit, you know, harder and faster than it's going to come here to America, but eventually it will come here to America. And the way things are looking, there's no stopping of all of these bombings in this Iran and American situation. And it's going to have drastic effects, you know, on supply chains. They're talking about it's going to be no fertilizer. You know, a lot of those exports and imports that cross that passageway. I think I read an article. They said 14 million barrels used to pass through the Strait of Hormuz every day. And it's causing a lot of these countries to, you know, to put strangleholds on how much oil they're using and how much, you know, of their production being strangled and being shut close, man. So all hell is getting ready to break loose, man. Prepare for famines, death, destruction, everything that we've been prophesying about. In the meanwhile, what do you got Jake over here in America doing? Partying, going on spring break, you know what I mean? Partying, bullshitting, laughing, ha, you know, not paying attention to the signs which are showing themselves, man. But it's going to catch a lot of our people with their pants down. A lot of these Americans who are overlooking it, not thinking that it's going to come here to America, are all going to be sadly mistaken. And you can already see the effects at the gas pump, man. I know right here where I'm at in California, gas is already damn near over $6, man, and it's only going to get higher. I think in LA, I saw one place it was fucking $9, man. You see? And what do you think is going to happen as that gas price gets higher? Eventually, these food prices they're already fucking high. They're going to continue to get higher and higher, and it's going to bring, you know what I mean? The sown places are no longer going to be sown. They're going to be scarcity. Things are going to be more expensive. Things are going to get tighter and tighter and harder as we get closer into the end of this thing, man. And it's only going to get worse, man. And this is Luke 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the seas and the waves roaring. And we've been seeing this and prophesying about this for the longest, man. We've always prophesied on the blood moons, the blood moons, the wolf moons, the lunar eclipses, the solar eclipses, which we just had one. And what was that, February or March? See, and we've been telling our people these are all signs of the things that are getting ready to come upon this earth. As Yahweh Shai gets closer to making his return, these perplexities, these distresses, these prophecies are going to increase, man. It says, verse 26, men's heart failing them for fear. And you see that now, like when you listen to those guys like Scott Ritter and Kerner McDouglas, And a lot of these analysts that are speaking on this situation with, Israel and Iran and Trump, you can hear the fear in their voice, man. Because a lot of them know in their heart of hearts that, hey, the American empire is through. This place has ran its course. America's not going to be healed. America's not going to bounce back from this horrible, what's this great Trump administration is doing, man. But, they fail to understand that it's all according to biblical prophecy. So that's why we rejoice. We see these things and we praise the Lord because we fully understand what all these things signify. Yeah, it's going to be a bumpy ride. Yeah, we know through much tribulation we're going to enter into the kingdom. But hey, our faith and trust is in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, man. Hey, we've acknowledged our sins. We repented. We're serving Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai in truth and sincerity to the best of our abilities, man. So we're hoping and praying that we're part of the elect and that we're going to be taken care of and fed in the time of famine, given water in the time of thirst, and that we're going to have that divine intervention over us, our wives, and our children because we made Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai our refuge and our safe haven. You see? And that's why we're able to report on these things and we don't, bug out. We're not losing our minds. We're not going crazy because we fully understand that these things must needs be. It says, men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. And what's coming on the earth? Prophecy, prophecy, prophecy. The mark of the beast could be here. Economic collapse, like I just read in that second Ezra, the 15 chapters. Men, neighbors invading one another for the lack of bread. Civil war, race war, famine. Now I just saw an article where the WHO was talking about doing a new pandemic preparedness shit. So it's about to go down here, man. Everything that we've been warning and prophesying you, Jake, about is right here at the door. And it's only going to accelerate. It says, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And what's the power of heaven? Esau, Edom, and his rulership is shaken to the core. And whether you want to believe it or not, Trump is shitting bricks. Trump understand that he fucked up. He understand that America is becoming isolated. All of his allies are turning his back on America. Nobody wants to come to the aid to this place. Nobody trusts this place. Everybody's finally seeing America for the backstabbing, low-life scumbag that it really is. And these nations are all gathering a great hatred for this great whore, America, and his number one butt buddy, Israel, the tiny tops. You see? And it's just going to lead to this place eventually being utterly burnt with fire, man. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with great power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. You see, and this is why we praise and give him glory, because we understand that it's all leading to the return of Hamashiach Yahushua. You see, and our redemption is drawing nigh. Our salvation is right at the door. We just got to ride out these last few seconds of Babylon the Great, watch these last few prophecies come to pass. But hey, see Jacob's trouble come. We're going to watch 2/3 of our people suffer. All right, we're going to see these nations tear each other to pieces, gather themselves in that valley of Jehoshaphat to fight one another, and then Yahushua is going to crack those clouds. They're going to turn around and fight Yahushua, and he's going to break them to their break pads, man. He's going to come and devour them and gather these nations and judge them. And that's going to be the end of the chapter of the heathens, man. So let me play this quick video, about 3 or 4 minutes, and I'm going to close it. And remember, what you see coming to Australia, is happening in Australia, is going to come here to Babylon. It's only a matter of time.
Now, you and I know this is going to hit the budget. The budget will be blamed on the war in Iran.
You see what it says, right? There will be no groceries on shelves. Australia fuel is desperately running dry. You see?
A lot to do with Chris Bowen. And I tell you what,
and remember, and this is going to happen to a lot of those European countries that are allied with America. Their vessels are not passing through the Strait of Hormuz. All of that oil and gas that that was flowing smoothly through that strait to go to Europe and those different NATO nations and EU nations is drying up. You see, and what is Australia? An ally of America. So they're feeling it too. Iran is making sure that all of the American allies are not getting their daily supply of oil and shipments and goods and imports, man. And it's going to get ugly.
if I was the Prime Minister, I'd coat hanger this bloke out of the way and I'd replace him because no one's got confidence in him at all.
Yeah, look, I haven't had confidence in him for a very long time, but as you said at the top...
Hey, the same thing's going to happen here. What do you see right now with Trump You know, he's all his base is turning on him, man. A lot of guys are saying that he sabotaged, he turned his back, he's a traitor to America. His whole policy is about Pisbro first, the tiny tots first. And a lot of people are pissed off, they're hating him, and eventually they're going to want to see him hanging on the gallows, man.
A lot of blame to go around here, and it goes back more than 2 decades. We were in breach of the rules, the International Energy Agency rules on 90 days worth of supply back in 2012. There was a report from the NRMA, which John Blackburn authored back in 2014, which drew attention to this. I can remember writing about it since then, and as you said, Jim Molan drew very big attention to this. So that many governments over many years have left us in the position that we are in now. And essentially what we're seeing in the regions is they're supplied by tier 2 suppliers. So the tier 1s are the ones that you're thinking about, Ampol, Viva, BP, and Esso are the ones that supply mostly the cities. The tier 2 suppliers are working really off spot market contracts. So the tier 1 suppliers have contracts locked in. The tier 2 ones were working off the spot market. The spot market has dried up now. There is no fuel, which is why the regions are running dry at the moment. Now, what we're also seeing is we saw the Chinese on Friday basically say that they were going to prioritise domestic consumption and stop exporting jet fuel from their refineries. And now we've had a Singaporean refinery talking about the fact that it was going to declare force majeure as well, which means that it's the contractual clause which says that they cannot supply it because there's a war going on at the moment and they cannot get the oil into their refineries. I don't think people really understand how deeply exposed Australia is. If this continues for any length of time, forget about driving your EVs, feeling smug about that down to the grocery shop, there will not be any groceries on the shelves. There will not be any planes in the sky. If we do not clear this up soon, then Australia is deeply exposed.
When I was talking to people, deep knowledge of the industry back when we had sort of 8 refineries in this country, I said, why did they go out the back door? Why did they leave? In part, they needed to upgrade the facilities, new cat crackers and other things. And it was much cheaper to do it in Asia. But it also came down to Australian labour laws. So part of the problem has been, and no one wants to talk about industrial relations anymore, but part of the problem has been that we are pricing heavy industry out of this country. We either do it at the worker level or we're doing it at the energy level, because both... Right,
like I said, there's plenty of blame to go around, but when it all boils down to it, who they're going to end up blaming? Babylon. This is why the 10 horns and those NATO and EU nations are going to eventually hate the whore. Because, a lot of people in these allies, they're blaming America. They're blaming Trump and his pride, his arrogance, his bullshit. Him rushing in, him doing all these things that's just not, it just wasn't necessary, man. You see? Hey, and it's all going to fulfill prophecy at the end of the day, man. So I just wanted to play that quick video and just show you that, hey, like I said, there'll be no grocery on the shelves. Australia fuel is desperately running low. And it's going to happen here in Babylon the Great eventually as well, man. Hey, and all things that are written in the scriptures are going to readily to come to pass, man. So, hey, with that, Lord, willing, this is edifying. To the next one, shalom.